Welcome to the Tim Booker channel, where wisdom deserves to be shared. Wishing you a delightful listening experience. Today, we're going to discuss the book, What Money Can't Buy. In life, we often hear the saying that any problem that can be solved with money isn't really a problem. Indeed, today, money can buy many more things than it could 30 years ago. However, a concerning trend has emerged, the use of money and market logic to address an increasing number of issues. Market behavior is increasingly dominating our entire lives, prompting us to question and reflect on what money cannot buy. In which domains and aspects should we refrain from using monetary means, and where are the boundaries of the market? These are the questions explored by Michael J. Sandel in What Money Can't Buy. The author of this book, Michael J. Sandel, is a professor of political philosophy at Harvard University, best known for his book, Justice. He once taught a course at Harvard called Justice, A Journey in Moral Reasoning, one of the most widely attended courses in Harvard's history. This course was later made available online, translated into over a dozen languages, and resulted in the publication of the best-selling book, Justice. While this book may not provide direct applications, it helps us reevaluate money and the market and reconsider various phenomena and issues in our lives. Let's take a look at what money can buy in America today. In California, if you find yourself unfortunate enough to be in jail, you can stay in a quiet cell for $82. If you're stuck in traffic, you can get a friendly reminder to enter the fast lane for just $8. An American child can strike a deal with an adult. In exchange for help, the child writes a thank you note and receives $1 as a reward. Sandel points out that when we believe that certain things can be bought and sold, we are essentially treating them as commodities. However, common sense tells us that not everything can be commodified. The most glaring example is people. The heinous nature of societies that treated humans as commodities, such as enslaved societies, is well documented. Such practices undermine human dignity, an intangible value that cannot be bought with money. Given that there are things money cannot buy, how do we determine what can be bought and sold, and what cannot? Let's look at some numbers representing new avenues for making money. Renting out your forehead or other body parts for advertising tattoos pays $777. Participating in pharmaceutical safety experiments as a human test subject earns you $7,500. Going to Somalia or Afghanistan to fight for private military companies can yield anywhere from $250 to $1,000 per day. If you're overweight, congratulations. If you can shed 14 pounds in 4 months, you can earn $378. In the past, many of these scenarios were unimaginable, but today, we live in an era where almost everything can be bought and sold. This raises a dangerous signal. Market values and market logic are encroaching into areas of life where they don't belong. In these areas, the market deviates from moral norms, and we need a way to re-establish the connection between the market and moral norms. For example, consider the case where a gubernatorial candidate proposed allowing people to pay $25 to exceed speed limits in designated areas. If you wanted to speed at specific times and places, you could purchase a transponder for your car. When you wanted to speed, funds would be deducted directly from your account, allowing you to freely drive for the next 24 hours without being stopped by the police. This candidate estimated that his proposal would generate an additional $1.3 billion in revenue for the state annually. However, it was ultimately rejected by highway patrol officers. Why? The answer is self-evident: this plan would compromise public safety, leading to traffic accidents. No amount of revenue is worth playing with people's lives. So, why are we concerned about living in a society where everything can be measured in terms of money? Sandel summarizes 2 reasons: it leads to inequality and fosters corruption, corroding our way of life. While this may seem abstract, it is intimately connected to each one of us. Let's explore these reasons one by one. First, social inequality caused by money. In a society where almost everything can be bought and sold, the lives of the poor become even more challenging. The more things money can buy, the wider the wealth gap becomes. For instance, if the wealthy can merely purchase yachts, sports cars, mansions, and luxury goods, the poor can simply do without these extravagances. But what if money can buy other things, such as better healthcare, opportunities to access elite education, or even political influence? That's when wealth inequality touches the root of inequality itself, implying unequal opportunities. Let's take an example. In California, there is a world-renowned national park that attracts over 4 million visitors every year. However, the park's facilities are limited, with just over 900 camping sites available, charging a symbolic fee of $20 per night. During the peak tourist season, camping spots are in high demand and tickets are often difficult to obtain. This is when scalpers come into play. They resell park tickets at exorbitant prices, turning the $20 symbolic ticket into over $100. The National Park Service received numerous complaints, leading to various measures to curb this unfair practice. Sandel also mentioned an example from a Chinese hospital that he heard about during his visit. When people go to the hospital for treatment and want to make an appointment with a specialist, they often face long queues, with some waiting for days without success. In such cases, people with urgent medical needs sometimes buy appointment tickets from scalpers. These scalpers exploit the supply-demand situation by hiring people to stand in line for appointments and then reselling the appointments to patients at a much higher price. Those who continue to wait in line are frustrated, wondering why those with more money can jump the queue. Do you endorse this pay-to-cut approach? From an economic standpoint, market economies are typically regarded as efficient and fair. The market allocates goods to those who value them the most, and the measure of value is typically how much money one is willing to pay. Those buying scalp tickets may argue that their urgent medical needs justify the higher cost of the appointment. Meanwhile, those unwilling to spend extra money in waiting in line suggest that their conditions aren't as critical, allowing them to wait. However, reality doesn't always align with these assumptions. People with severe medical conditions may not have the funds to purchase scalped appointments, thus creating inequality in the process. Sandel believes that scalping disrupts the principles of social justice. Markets and queuing are fundamentally different means of allocating resources. The first-come, first-served ethic of queuing embodies a sense of egalitarianism, demanding that, at the very least, privileges, power, and economic strength should not be factors in achieving a goal. On the other hand, the market principle, which rewards those with sufficient wealth, can be seen as the opposite. With enough money, you can obtain whatever you desire. This behavior not only treats the poor unfairly but can also easily lead to corruption, disrupting the normal order of society. The second point is that money can corrupt our lives, rendering many meaningful things meaningless. Sandel argues that spending money in the wrong places or purchasing things that shouldn't be commodities can have a corrosive effect on goods, making inherently good things less good. For instance, spending money to incentivize children to read may result in them reading books, but it can strip away the genuine joy of reading. Likewise, paying for admission to prestigious universities not based on genuine merit can dilute the sense of achievement and honor that comes from hard work. This illustrates the corrosive influence of money. Another example, when a woman gives birth to children with the intention of selling them for profit, it corrupts the role of motherhood, as she treats her child as a mere commodity. When certain aspects of our lives are transformed into commodities, we fail to treat them properly. In Sandel's words, it's a form of corruption or degradation. To corrode an item is to diminish its value, treating it in a lesser way. For instance, two economists conducted an experiment where students were divided into 3 groups to solicit donations. The first group was given a motivational speech highlighting the importance of charity to inspire them to donate. The second and third groups received the same motivational speech, but they were also offered monetary rewards based on the amount they raised. The second group received a smaller reward, while the third group received a larger one. Which group do you think raised the most money? The answer is the first group. The implication here is that money can indeed motivate people because the third group, which received a higher reward, raised more money than the second group. However, one might wonder why the incentivized groups lagged behind the group without monetary rewards. This occurred because offering payment to students for performing a charitable act changed the nature of the activity. In the presence of cash incentives, raising donations was no longer solely about fulfilling a civic duty, it became more akin to earning a bonus. The introduction of financial motivation transformed a previously altruistic endeavor into a money-making job. Another example relates to parents who frequently encounter a situation where they are running late to pick up their children from daycare. Traffic congestion or unexpected overtime at work can cause delays, making it challenging to arrive on time. This inconvenience places an added burden on daycare teachers, as they are obliged to stay late when parents are delayed. To address this issue, the daycare came up with a solution, imposing fines on parents who frequently arrive late. What do you think happened next? Surprisingly, the phenomenon of parents arriving late increased rather than decreased. This might seem perplexing. Why did this change occur? The introduction of fines was intended to reduce late pickups, but what changed in the process? Researchers studied this phenomenon and found that introducing a monetary penalty altered the existing social norm. Previously, parents who were late felt a sense of guilt because they inconvenienced the teachers. However, with the introduction of fines, parents began viewing late pickups as a service they were entitled to in exchange for payment. They regarded the fine as a fee, and they were simply paying for the teachers to work longer hours. The significance lies in the misconception of the role of fines. Fines and regular fees serve different purposes. Regular fees represent a legitimate use of money, such as paying for daycare services, whereas fines convey a moral condemnation. For instance, during holidays, when fines are imposed on individuals who litter in scenic areas, it is intended to convey that littering is wrong. In contrast, regular fees do not carry a moral judgment. Some individuals, even after paying the fine, fail to grasp that their behavior was wrong because they didn't recognize that the place they were visiting was a scenic area for public enjoyment, not a dumping ground for litter. The troubling aspect is that once money corrodes the moral obligation of picking up children on time, it becomes challenging to restore the original sense of responsibility. Here are the translations of the provided content. Here's another example. Many people have raised small animals, and most are aware of the need to protect endangered species. But have you ever heard of protecting animals through hunting? For instance, the African black rhinoceros. We all know that hunting endangered animals is illegal, but most African countries struggle to protect black rhinos from poachers. Therefore, some wildlife conservation organizations in African nations have considered a legal hunting approach to address this issue. The South African government permits the legal hunting of only 5 black rhinos per year. They decided to auction this rare hunting privilege to hunters at a cost of $150,000 per rhino. In other words, it became an activity for the wealthy, attracting affluent individuals from around the world. Black rhinos are extremely difficult and dangerous to hunt, making this opportunity highly coveted. Wealthy individuals from various countries travel to Africa to experience the thrill of being a hunter. This expensive hunting expedition also presented an opportunity for African farmers. They began to enclose land for grazing, breeding, and raising black rhinos. This approach not only eliminated illegal poaching but also controlled the number of hunts, leading to the recovery of the black rhino population. From a market economy perspective, this might seem like a win-win solution. Farmers made money, hunters had the chance to hunt endangered animals, and it appeared that everyone benefited. However, considering the moral aspect, this practice can be deeply unsettling. Why? First, this peculiar market caters to an unjust desire, the desire to kill animals, satisfying people's predatory instincts. Whether you're a poacher or a paying hunter, it doesn't change the nature of killing animals, especially endangered ones. This bloodlust is something that should not be indulged. Second, paying to hunt animals transforms killing into a commercial activity. While hunting for survival during times of scarcity might be a different matter, turning it into a business and entertainment activity is another. No amount of money can make such a behavior morally justifiable, it represents a distorted mindset. The examples above illustrate a common theme: money can corrode our lives and, from a moral perspective, create ethical risks when used irrationally. Let's examine another example from the United States. In the U.S., there was a case where an employee working at a local supermarket unexpectedly suffered a heart attack and passed away while helping customers with their deliveries. According to the employee's life insurance policy, the insurance company paid out $300,000 in compensation for his death. However, the unexpected twist was that this $300,000 was not given to the employee's wife and children. Instead, it went to the supermarket. This happened because when the supermarket had initially purchased life insurance for the employee, they had designated themselves as the beneficiaries. Upon learning this, the employee's wife was furious and promptly took the supermarket to court. She argued that her husband worked long hours for the company every day and frequently worked overtime. Why should the company benefit from his death when it was so unethical? Furthermore, neither she nor her husband had any knowledge that the company had taken out life insurance on him. This company's practice of profiting from an employee's death is highly questionable. The supermarket is one of the largest in the US, and their spokesperson acknowledged that they had indeed purchased life insurance for thousands of their employees. However, she denied that the intention was to profit from their deaths. She explained that, firstly, if an employee were alive, the company would continue paying their insurance premiums, an expense they covered. Secondly, the company had made significant investments in the employees, including training and accumulated experience. The employee's death would result in a loss for the company, which the insurance payout compensated for. While the supermarket's explanation may sound reasonable, why do we still find this practice of profiting from an employee's death ethically repugnant? Where does it go wrong? In simple terms, this practice leaves no assurance of the sanctity and security of human life. If a company can benefit from an employee's death, it provides ample justification for exploiting employees further, making them work long hours and denying them rest. To take it to an extreme, if a struggling company could profit from the accelerated deaths of its employees, it might resort to creating accidents or other nefarious actions to cash in on insurance money. The point is that such practices undermine the inherent value of human life. In Sandel's words, the company effectively objectified its employees. In other words, the company viewed them as commodities or assets rather than as employees. While employees originally contributed value to the company through their work, the shift to treating them as investments in a morally distorted societal mindset is a concerning development, and this behavior is not limited to a single company. Many Fortune 500 companies have engaged in such perverse investments in their employees, and almost none of the employees are aware that their companies have priced them. Even if they retire or are laid off, such insurance policies remain in effect, and the company can still benefit. It wasn't until many years later that the US government enacted a law limiting this insurance business for regular employees and requiring their consent for such arrangements. However, even when employees give their consent, many companies still exploit various benefits and incentives to have them sign insurance policies. In this regard, various death investment schemes abound. For example, some profit from AIDS patients by insuring them. Investors who die within a specified period can receive a payout. Others profit from the longevity of elderly individuals, such as insuring those over 65. After these individuals pass away, investors collect death benefits. Many investors even bet on accidents involving celebrities. This type of death wager has become an openly known secret within the industry. As television talk show host Larry King once said, "Who knows, is the owner of my policy a Wall Street hedge fund or a mafia godfather?" Clearly, money in these contexts entangles individuals in moral quandaries. This is a point that Sandel repeatedly emphasizes in this book. Let's recap Professor Sandel's main points in this book. In the age we live in today, many people believe that money can buy anything and solve any problem. Sandel points out that the most dangerous aspect of this belief is that it quietly corrodes and transforms our lives, often without us even realizing it. Amplifying the role of money and the market without limits not only exacerbates social inequality but also corrodes our lives and exposes us to moral risks. Recall the shocking news stories in recent years, most of them are related to this issue. People who were once considered virtuous are becoming rarer in our social news, while those demanding compensation are on the rise. Simple acts of helping a fallen elderly person, which used to be second nature, have now become dangerous actions fraught with hesitation and indecision. These shifts in public moral norms make us aware of the tremendous destructive power of using money irrationally. After listening to this book, you may no longer view money as an all-powerful solution. Undoubtedly, market economies are valuable and highly efficient tools, but the law of money does not apply in all domains. When can you use money to incentivize your employees or even your children? And when is it inappropriate to use money to solve problems? These are questions worth pondering because money can have detrimental effects in many situations. Congratulations, you've just finished another book. Thank you for your support and attention. Please subscribe to the Tim Booker channel. Like and share with your family and friends. Wisdom deserves to be spread. Thank you all, and goodbye.